On today's show,
you mentioned that 2016 team. They went 8-0, Coach. So I got to ask: is there a banner somewhere for that 2016 team?
Absolutely, yeah. We recognize that we wanted those kids to be proud of what they accomplished.
What's happening, everybody? Glad you can find your way into another episode of Kansas Sports Chatter. Whether you're listening to the audio podcast or you're watching online on YouTube, I appreciate it. And for those that are listening to the audio podcast, make sure you go over and check things out for the video side on YouTube. And those watching on YouTube, you can also download the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anything else. It is Kansas Sports Chatter, a sports entertainment show for the state of Kansas, all based on high school. And exciting stuff for today's episode. We have two new segments. Over the weekend, we're going to be putting out a social media post about the big performance, and it's where you can nominate a student athlete that had a really big performance in any sport. Doesn't have to be anything specific. It can be any sport, whether they had a big performance. Once you nominate them, they get 1 point. If your comment gets a like, it gets another point. And on Twitter or X, if you get a repost of that comment, it gets you 2 more points. At the end of the weekend, we total everything up, and the student athlete that was nominated with the biggest performance will be invited to be on the show for the upcoming week. And I will do everything in my power to get a hold of those nominations if they want to come on the show. So we do have our first big performance interview that'll be coming up on today's show. And also, being a radio guy, I want to incorporate as much radio broadcasters as possible because radio is cool, and I really like radio play-by-play. So we have a lot of talent in the state of Kansas, and we're going to incorporate one of those highlights. Ross Volkmer out of Goodland, Kansas, the voice of the Cowboys. We'll hear one of his highlights at the end of the show. You look at the guests for today's show: Cody Wright, also out in Western Kansas, a member of the Colby football team; Harriet Dean from Jefferson West volleyball. They'll be our leadoff question. Roman Byers Jr. out of Piper High School. He's going to be our first big performance interview. He had a really big outing against Topeka Seaman last Friday night for Piper. Jeremy Deckard on the show once again with Prep Dig Kansas as he'll run through recruiting at the volleyball level. Brett Clow, a head coach of the Weskan football team, he'll join us for a quality time interview. Matt Gilmore with Kpreps and Kpreps.com will run through the rankings across the state in high school football. And Cody Hurd out of Sterling College, a member of the Warriors volleyball team, and from South Central High School, will be our next level talent interview. Let's get things started with today's leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question on Kansas Sports Chatter. We're joined with Cody Wright, a student athlete with the Colby football team. Cody, what do you remember about your first varsity game?
My first varsity game was sophomore year, week 1 against Ulysses. It was kind of nerve-wracking getting in there because all of our team was upperclassmen at that point. Started on defense. I think that first drive we were false starting like 5 times in a row. It was a bad way to start. And ended up getting a fumble recovery off of like a buffed handoff. Later, like we were kicking them. It was like 30-0 at half. We come out and they tried like an onside kick thing, and I took it back to the house. It was like 50, 60 yards. So that was a good way to start off. And I was playing left guard at the time that year. It's like 5'8", 150. It's pretty sick.
Did you have any nerves going into that game? Do you remember those?
Yeah, it was bad. My butterflies were crazy. During the national anthem, it was pretty rough.
So for you, did you visualize on how you wanted to go as far as before that game started and what you thought it might be, like the experience?
Yeah, I visualized like just like what I wanted to do. I want to go out there and make my blocks right on defense, fill my gaps. But it kind of went pretty smooth, I think. But yeah.
What does it take for you to settle into a game, even now to this day? Like, what does it take for you to just kind of settle in?
It's that first hit, like that first hit of contact. That's when like I'm set in, I'm ready.
Have you rewatched that first game at all?
Yeah, I watched like probably every week at least for that first year. Then going into that off season, I just used it as motivation to get better going into my junior year.
What are some of the ways that you've improved from that first varsity game to now?
For sure, my technique, like my stance was really bad. I'd go up to like the line of scrimmage, and now I have a pretty nice stance, like 5 yards off. Now I'm a skill player. I've gotten a lot better with my like speed and testing numbers, my hands. Everything just got a lot better since then. I perfected my craft and my strength.
That's Cody Wright with the Colby football team with today's leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Harriet Dean from Jefferson West High School volleyball team. Harriet, what do you remember about your first varsity game?
Well, I was really fortunate to have coaches that believed in me and that trusted me. And I was super excited to start. I played all three of the sports my freshman year. I played on varsity. And I remember being super excited for the volleyball season because that's the first season. And I've played club, which obviously is really high level, but it's something like it's so cool to be able to play in front of your community and wear your school colors and represent.
What were your nerves like for that first game? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was definitely really nervous. But after like a few points, like my competitiveness took over and it was really fun. No more nerves after that.
Did you perform well? Do you remember how you did?
I think I did well. I don't really remember. I did well, I think.
Do you visualize like how you expect things to go like before you go into a match?
Yeah, I definitely do. I was kind of scared I'd mess up, but it was all fine.
What does it take for you typically to settle in? So if you had those nerves, like at what point do you usually settle in?
Definitely after I serve the ball, because that's probably the scariest part. Since I'm a setter, I go in right when I serve, and yeah, after I served it over, I was fine.
Have you rewatched that game, that first varsity game?
Yes, I have rewatched it. Definitely improved since then, but
you mentioned improvements. What improvements kind of stand out to you that you've made since that first game?
Well, this summer we had a lot of, we got new coaches in a few of our sports, and we had a new summer weights program. So I definitely like increased my vertical strength, conditioning, all that. So definitely able to jump higher. My sets, I'm definitely better at that now, like being able to tell, like smarter in the game.
That is Harriet Dean with Jefferson West High School volleyball team with today's leadoff question. Thanks again to Cody Wright of Colby High School and Harriet Dean of Jefferson West High School with our leadoff question responses. Coming up, our first big performance interview. Roman Byers Jr. out of Piper High School had a huge outing last Friday night in the Season 1 win for Piper, as Roman will be joining the show next.
Whether on the field or in the stands, displaying good sportsmanship creates the positive environment for our students. When you attend high school events, young eyes are watching you for examples of acceptable behavior. An easy way to display good sportsmanship is by cheering for your team, not against your opponent or officials. Do your part in keeping our hometown sports a positive experience for everyone. This message is brought to you by the Kansas High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team.
Are you looking for Kansas high school sports coverage and entertainment? Then Kansas Sports Chatter is the place for you. It's a statewide sports show that focuses on high school athletics and includes several guests each episode. Kansas Sports Chatter is easy to find. Listen anywhere you get your podcasts and watch anytime on YouTube. And the best part, it's 100% free to listen to or watch. High school sports and entertainment. Come join the chatter. Kansas Sports Chatter. Big performance. You can check out our social media on the weekends where you can nominate an athlete in any sport that had a big performance that week. And then points are awarded through the nominations, the likes, and also the reposts. And then the student with the most points is invited to be on the show. And that's how we got this week's guest. That is Roman Byers Jr. out of KC Piper High School. Your stat line, Roman, 33 carries, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then on the other side of the football, you also had 10 tackles and a 33-22 win against Topeka Seaman. So I guess, first of all, congratulations on that performance and being our big performance athlete today. But for you, what was the feeling going into that game? Before you had that performance, what were you feeling going into that game?
I mean, I went into the game with a lot of confidence. My entire team went in with a lot of confidence, and we knew that we were going to get the job done on Friday, and then we went in, and that's what we did.
Did you expect 33 carries? Were you ready for that workload?
Yes, sir. I'm always ready. I mean, I know that with my team and what we can do, and I know what my job is, and that I'm going to need the workload, and I know I can handle it. So we just went in, and yeah, I expected it.
Are you one of those guys where you almost get better as the game progresses and you kind of get more and more carries where you just don't wear down?
I think so. I think as I get more comfortable in the game, that I just keep improving as the game goes on because I just see things. I don't know. It just comes as a second nature to me almost.
What was key for you in getting that 241 yards? What did you see out there that helped you get those yards?
I mean, my offensive line did an amazing job on Friday, so that was a big key in it. And then just being me, really.
Did you have the feeling, like what point did you realize, okay, hey, this is going to be a big night?
After the first quarter, I mean, we had a really good first quarter, first couple of drives, and we all started getting more and more confident. And then I just realized I was like, let's do this pretty much. And that's when I pretty much realized that I was going to have a pretty big day.
Were you tired afterwards? What was your reaction after the game?
Oh yeah, I was pretty tired. I was pretty banged up, but I mean, I'm feeling great now. I'm ready to go and play base with Linwood this Friday.
What's your recovery process like after a big game like that, especially when you have, 30 plus carries? What do you do over the weekend to kind of get you right for the next week?
A lot of rest and ice baths. I get in the ice bath maybe twice just to get my body back feeling great, and then just a lot of rest.
You mentioned Baser Linwood coming up this Friday night. So what's it going to take out of you and the rest of your teammates to get that win?
I mean, just even better performance, really. We played great against Seaman, but we got to even amp it up even more on Friday and play with the confidence that we had and play as a team, and we'll get the job done.
That is Roman Byers Jr. out of Piper High School, or a big performance athlete. Make sure you check it out over the weekend on social media. You can nominate a player of any sport that had a big-time performance. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. It is time for volleyball chatter on the show. Jeremy Deckard joining us now, a Prep Dig Kansas scout. Jeremy, appreciate you jumping back on the show, and I love how you're kind of making that parade. We talked with Rick Peterson with Top Sports News, and he's like his prep parade. You're kind of doing that parade throughout Kansas, just kind of keeping up with all the schools and the players and watching different matches. And you're a busy guy.
I am a busy guy, and I appreciate the time to be invited back for a second time on the show. I've been keeping tabs on it, and I love what you're doing. But before we talk about volleyball, I have a question for you.
This is not how the show works, but go ahead.
I'm going all hot rod, Roddy Piper on you, because just when you think you know what the answers are, I change the questions. So I'm not a expert on podcasts.
Okay.
But one thing I've always noticed when I have watched one is every host typically has a sidekick, and they also typically have bobbleheads and stuffies and sports memorabilia in the background. So I'm wanting to know, is there a plan to have a sidekick, and where's the bobbleheads?
Well, we're in the very infancy stages of the show, so I don't know about the sidekick. Now, the bobbleheads, I have a few like Royals and whatnot, but like for a high school show, I wanted to, maybe that wasn't really relatable. So the only thing like flair that I put out there, I'm a big fan of penguins. So if you see this little guy, he's speaking in the microphone. So I mean, that's like my favorite animal. So I threw him in there just for kicks.
Well, I got prepped up, so I brought my favorite bobblehead, Mickey E. Moose. All right, the Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose mascot. And then I also grabbed my favorite stuffy, the Curse Breaker Chicago Cub Billy Goat. that they came out with in 2004. So this was like a full 12 years before they won the World Series in 2016. So I wanted to break that out on you. I appreciate it.
I haven't had any need to break any curses yet, but if I do, I'm definitely going to get one.
Nice. So I thought what I'd do is just give you an update on some of the players and teams that I saw last week scouting. It was an impressive week. I saw some really good matches and was really impressed by some of the individual performances during the first week of the season. So I started off with 2 matches in Meriden, Kansas. I scouted Jefferson West High School against St. Mary's, and then I also saw Nemaha Central defeat St. Mary's. Jeff West, they have only lost 1 match so far, and they beat Seaman, which of course is a powerhouse, much larger school. They're young. Seaman's young this year, but Jeff West came out on top, and then they ran the table in a tournament this weekend and didn't drop a single set. 3 players I wanted to mention on that team. Addison Schwinn, she's a senior, probably their most physical hitter. She had 10 kills in the match that I scouted against St. Mary's. And then you have the Dean sisters. Harriet Dean is a junior. She had 16 assists at Sept for the Tigers against the Bears. And then Emmy Dean, a sophomore, she had a really nice all-around game. She's a 6 rotation talent. She had 5 kills, 2 digs, and 3 aces in the win over the Bears. Those 3, all 3 in the rankings, and you can kind of tell by their depth when you have a senior, a junior, and a sophomore, all 3 ranked in the Prep Dig rankings. Nemaha Central, that was a team that really surprised me. I knew they were going to be young, but I didn't know how talented their young talent was. They have 2 sophomores who really took me by surprise and had excellent hitting nights. Meg Honeyman is a sophomore. She had 6 kills, and so did Macy Holthouse, another sophomore who had 6 kills and added a block in their win against St. Mary's. Then Thursday, I took a 300-plus drive out to Western Kansas to see Ellenwood versus Beloit, and that was a match that also had an interesting outcome. I went to Ellenwood last year and watched the same 2 teams play, and Beloit pretty much thumped Ellenwood. Well, Ellenwood, the Eagles, they turned the tables on the Trojans on this trip. They ended up winning in 3 straight sets. They've got 2 seniors who are already verbally committed to play college ball. Kendall Moore, who will be going to Emporia State, and Reagan Widener, who will be going to Fort Hays State. But the 2 players who really stood out this time for me were their setters, junior Olivia Batchman and sophomore Meta Maxwell. They shared the setting duties in the win over Beloit. And those 2, if either one of them was the primary setter, would have a shot at breaking some setting records in assists. With them sharing the time, they're still putting up positive numbers, but it makes them so much more difficult to defend when you have 2 setters playing at that elite level. Then this weekend, I went to a tournament in St. James Academy. They played a round-robin tournament. I watched 2 early matches there this weekend. The first one was Mays South, the Mavericks, who defeated the Olathe South Eagles in straight sets. And then the second match was St. James Academy, the host. They defeated Mays South in 3 sets after losing in 3 sets to Olathe Northwest in their first match of the morning. A couple players from Mays South I'd like to talk about. Autumn Pop, she's their setter. She had 33 assists in the 2 games that I watched. She is verbally committed to Wichita State and was a player that I nominated for the Kansas Sports Chatter Performance of the Week. Sage Elian, a sophomore, had an outstanding game all around, 6'1". Her defensive skills are what really surprised me. I knew she could hit, but she played a lot better defense than I expected from her. And then they also have Bella Cook, a junior, who's already verbally committed to Iowa State, and she's a physical specimen on the front row and moves really fast. Then for St. James Academy, 2 hitters really stood out for them. Madeline Etler is a junior who plays middle. She's already committed to Warford. She is a physical specimen who, and I told her this when I went up and talked to her after the match. She might be the most physical athlete I've seen since Brooklyn DeLay at Washburn Rural.
Wow.
She is just a thick, strong, powerful. She can hit through and power through blocks. I was really taken by her game. And then Maya Lee, who is a sophomore and is the number 2 ranked player in the Prep Dig class of 28. She put up some eye-popping numbers. She had 17 kills, 10 digs, and 13 serve receptions in the win over May South.
Well, Jeremy, before we let you go, you mentioned, like keeping track of some of those records. And I know you wanted to make a plug for coaches and officials out there, administrators, especially on the volleyball side. Make sure you use Kpreps and get those stats out there.
Yeah, I mean, I can only be in so many places at once. And there are so many teams I would like to see, and there are so many athletes that I would like to feature on our website and provide exposure to. And unfortunately right now, and it's across the board, it's just not volleyball. It's football, volleyball, basketball. Not enough coaches are putting their stats out there publicly. And as a former teacher, as a former coach, I know they're busy. All right. And I can empathize and sympathize with them, because I remember the last time I coached football in Kansas, it was a small school. We didn't have equipment to film a game. We didn't have headsets that worked for coaches. I had nobody who could keep track of stats. I mean, I could, but I was trying to coach the game. So sometimes it's not possible. But this, podcasts like yours, newspaper coverage. I know Brent Maycock at Keisha. I've seen him on social media at times talking about the number of people and coaches that respond to their questionnaires. If those stats are out there, it makes it easier for us to write about and provide exposure to our college coaches that subscribe to our website, so they have something to compare with. And so the more coaches that use Kpreps, the better. There are other avenues. Kpreps is probably the easiest one to use. Mm-hmm. But even if a coach just has stats and they're not posting them on Kpreps, put them out on social media. Send them to you in an email. Send them to me in an email, whatever. So I did want to highlight 4 players who currently right now are leading the state unofficially, because not everybody's using Kpreps. But here are the 4 players right now after everybody's played somewhere between, the fewest number of matches so far, about 4. I've seen some who played a dozen already. But here are the 4 players I wanted to mention. Olivia Stein out of Ingalls. She's a Wichita State verbally committed athlete. She has 105 kills so far in 14 sets and is unofficially leading the state in kills. Morgan Froese from Inman. She's leading the state in blocks with 35 in 10 sets played. Riley Jessup from Concordia is currently leading the state in assists with 190 in 18 sets. And then Haley Fannenstell from Norton currently is leading the state in digs with 120 in 19 sets.
Impressive numbers already right out of the gate. Jeremy, appreciate your time, and safe travels this week when you go out to more matches.
Appreciate you. Thanks again.
That is Jeremy Deckard, a scout with Prep Dig Kansas. That'll do it for our volleyball chatter.
Sportsmanship is when people who are playing or watching a sport treat each other with respect. This is a reminder to be a good sport to your peers, coaches, opponents, fans, and the people officiating the game. Sporting events have a much better atmosphere when everyone involved is displaying good sportsmanship.
It is our quality time interview on Kansas Sports Chatter. Brett Clow with the Weskan football team joining us here today. He is our guest. And Coach, for you look at Weskan football, what are the numbers like? How many you got out for football this year?
Yeah, this year we have 15. That's a really good number for 6-man football. That does include 2 foreign exchange students, so that's a common thing out here, especially in Weskan. And so it's always a fun dynamic to have new guys. But yeah, 15 of them, which is good.
I know numbers will always kind of fluctuate, and you guys been in that 6-man ranks for a number of years now, but has there ever been a year that you're kind of flirting with, like, maybe we go back up to 8-man, or is you guys pretty stay put in 6-man?
Yeah, I think it goes that conversation can sometimes happen. As we have seen 6-man grow, we feel like we are a pretty solid 6-man team. Like you said, numbers can fluctuate, and that can change. If you have 12 kids and all of a sudden a couple kids move away or whatever, now you're down to 9 or 10. So, yeah, there's years where we do have 14 to 16 kids, and that feels like a healthy number. We've been just maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we were in the 8 to 9 range. And so out here, it's I would say we're probably a pretty solid 6-man for the long term.
When you guys made that switch to 6-man, though, it didn't seem like it took you long to figure out the new style. What was key for you on kind of making that switch and just the learning curve with it?
Yeah, I guess to just give you a little bit of backstory about Weskan, we were, been playing football for a long time, obviously. We're 8-man for a long time. But then in 2014, I was not coaching here. Mark Coles, who's a really great coach and it was very successful at the 8-man ranks for a long time. He was the coach at Weskan, so it was 2014, and just hit a year that they were really hovering that 8 to 9 number, and it just didn't seem like a feasible plan to go with an 8-man. So there were some co-op conversations started. All of that kind of fell through, and so that was kind of the birth of 6-man football here in Kansas. Was Weskan kind of jumping into it and had a lot of support from surrounding schools, league schools that helped them build a schedule. And so started in 2014. I came in 2015. And so there was a learning process of just getting to figure out the game. But I think it has served us well to, after, I guess now this is my 11th year, we've learned a lot about the game and learned little nuances that can help us. But it can be challenging, but it's actually a really fun game.
Yeah, you've learned a lot. Learned how to win a state championship. But for you, like you talk about the co-op, how difficult is that? I mean, you just talk about the science behind that, the logistics, I guess, even with travel. Is that a challenge when you're even trying to put together one of those co-ops, even if there is somebody somewhat close by?
Yeah, I think so. There's always a lot of factors that can play into that. It could be a schedule, different school schedules, or just a lot of things. And so, that big conversation happened kind of before I was here, and 6-man has allowed us, again, through the ups and downs of enrollment, has allowed us to keep football here in Weskan, which has been, it's been a great thing.
So for you, with Keisha not sanctioning 6-man football until 2022 with an official state championship, what was it like in those years prior as far as, competing, but then not having that end prize at the end of the year? Was that difficult?
Yeah, I'll kind of give you some more background here. So in 2014 and 2015, there was no playoff or anything within 6-man football. I was proud of the kids during that time that played because, again, they had a lot of pride in playing hard. And you would have never known that, I think when we played, you'd have never known there was no playoff at the end for them. And so that's a group that I'll remember forever. But starting in 2016, there was you started to see some growth in 6-man. They were kind of within our league and in Western Kansas. And I think teams just saw what we were doing at Weskan and kind of thought that it could be something that would be good for their school. Again, a lot of schools fighting the numbers game, struggling to field teams each year. And so, yeah, there was a group in 2016 that formed a playoff system. It was real small. I think there were 8 teams at the time. And Dodge City came in and actually provided a state championship or, a 6-man championship for us. And it was a great experience. They rolled out the red carpet. They made it feel like a full state championship game. And so I think as teams just kind of saw from the outside that this was a growing thing, you see what Dodge City was doing. You just kind of started to see the slow trickle of teams being interested. And so fast forward, from 2016 all the way through 2021, it was just a cool time to just kind of see it grow organically and slowly. And then fast forward to, I guess, 2022, when there was enough teams, 24 teams, to be recognized by Keisha. That's kind of when everything switched over. And it's been, sorry, that was our bell system. But since 2022, it's been really cool to see it continue to grow and to have Keisha involved.
Brett Clow joining us here, the head coach of the Weskan football team. Now, you mentioned that 2016 team. They went 8-0, Coach. So I got to ask, is there a banner somewhere for that 2016 team?
Absolutely. Yeah, we recognize that we wanted those kids to be proud of what they accomplished. Even in a small environment, I think, what we saw was that we wanted to promote, those kids. And other teams did that too. Pawnee Heights and Shiloh, teams who won during that time. I think it kind of just continued to help grow the game.
Have you created the 2024 state championship banner? So, I mean, and how big is it?
We have, and it's we went same size.
Okay.
Like all the others. It's not hung up yet, but we did actually get it designed, and it's here.
Hey, Weskan football, and you guys were able to get honored, during the off season and going to Topeka, going to see the governor. What was that experience like? And did you give the governor any advice?
Absolutely not. No. I would be surprised if she actually knew where Weskan was, but she did. She was cordial. She shook our hands. It was a great experience. But just a really cool thing for our team to get them out of Weskan, out of Western Kansas. We have a state representative from Weskan, so he is the one who actually extended the invite. And again, something to, I guess, cherish the moment of winning state, but then provide a really cool experience for our kids who maybe something they'll never do again.
Coach, any level of football, I mean, everyone knows that, that quarterback position is very important as far as leading your offense. My take, I feel like in six-man football, is there almost even more importance because I feel like, a lot of times, plays will break down, that ability to stretch things out, the ability to extend a play. Do you almost feel like there's a more importance to have that athletic quarterback in six-man football?
What we've learned is athletic, good quarterbacks really make it hard on defenses. And so I think teams that do have a good quarterback, an accurate passer, but then if you throw on the ability to run, that just creates a nightmare scenario for defenses. There's not a lot of guys on defense, and a lot of times it does create a one-on-one or even a two-on-one situation to put the defense in conflict. And so, I think as you look over Kansas six-man football, I think teams that have had a lot of success have had a really good quarterback.
Does that go into your selection process when you're trying to choose that next quarterback and replacing somebody, whether, maybe there's more of I don't want to say a pocket passer, but someone that can throw the ball a little bit better, or maybe there's more of a true athlete that can use his legs a little bit more? Does that kind of go into your selection process?
I think there's a balance there, and I think it is kind of dependent on the rest of your team. Right now, I would say our quarterback, who's had a lot of success, I would probably categorize him more as a pocket passer type kid. He's athletic, but we have athletic pieces around him. And so I guess the way we have designed our offense now is that we want to run the football and establish some type of run, even if that's out of a spread look and some motion. But then play action and getting the ball out quick. A lot of times you get a hard rush and it forces the ball out. And so we take our shots, but we try to have balance within our scheme, within run, quick passing game, play action. And so right now, yes, I would say he's more of a pocket passer and he's very accurate, which is very helpful. But there have been years where we have put maybe the best athlete there at quarterback, and that can be dependent again on what you have around him. Do you have somebody who can get that athlete the ball, or do you just need to get it to him now? And so the nuances of six-man football create, like, you just can't line up and run quarterback draw or quarterback power. You have to have that exchange. And so there's you just kind of have to work through that a little bit.
For you, like for tackling, the simplicity of tackling, how much time is actually spent there at Weskan just practicing tackling? And I know because as you go throughout the season, you don't want to have too much wear and tear, but also it's very important. So, like, how much time do you actually spend?
Yeah, I think early on, quite a bit, and just the fundamentals. You have young kids learning how to tackle. There was a quote from one of my friends who coaches at Friends University. He said the best way to get better at tackling is have a birthday. And so just guys who get older, obviously, and naturally get better at it. But yeah, we focus a lot on fundamentals and working on open field tackling. That becomes a pretty important piece of, there's a lot of situations where it's just one-on-one. But then over the course of the season, that really, we tone it down a little bit more to just stay healthy and to just putting the guys out there that we trust who can go do that.
Tackling for you. So you mentioned that, the time you spend, but also just the technique. Like, what are you preaching to your players for tackling at Weskan? Let's go with, like, say, open field tackling. What are some of the techniques? You can dive into the nuts and bolts here, Coach.
I think one, we have to take good angles, and six man so wide open a lot of those times. The old Oklahoma drill or the inside drill, that obviously you can be in those tackling situations, but a lot of the plays that we encounter are angles. It's towards the sideline. And so we have to obviously judge our speed well and take good angles. We follow a lot of the same techniques that you see at the NFL or college or high-level high schools. You're starting to see more target the inside hip and take away that cutback and just kind of use the sideline to your advantage. And then a lot of times we are typically an undersized team. And so just having good leverage, having a good aim point a little bit lower. We don't like to take guys up at the shoulder pads because that often ends poorly for us. So if we're fast and hit a good point, this is driving our feet. So I guess if you're breaking down tackling, that's probably what we would teach the most.
Coach, appreciate your time and best of luck this year.
Thank you very much.
That is Brett Clow, the Weskan football coach. Now do it for our quality time interview on Kansas Sports Chatter. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Myers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. It is time now for our football chatter on the show, and we get an opportunity to talk with Matt Gilmore with Kpreps, and you can check out the website, kpreps.com. As simple as that, and you talk about the source to go to for any of your scores, for any of your rankings, any of the highlights, you name it. If you want prep football, you got to check out kpreps.com. Matt, appreciate you jumping on the show here tonight. And for you, like, when did you start Kpreps and what inspired you to start Kpreps?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Colby. It's been, it's been probably about 18 years or so. So I don't know, what does that make it? 2005, 4 or 5? But we started back then, and it was just kind of an avenue of making sure that we could find a database for scores and those type of things. And we were really looking to sort of, lessen the distance of the community of high school football. I mean, you hear about, the things out in Western Kansas. I'm from extreme Eastern Kansas, and you hear about those, but you may not know. And it's like, we're going to play this team in the playoffs. And where is that? And who do they play? And so we didn't feel that information was readily available. And, with newspapers kind of disappearing and sort of the rise of online, it just made it a good opportunity for us to provide this, provide this source of information. And it's been a lot of fun over the last 18 years.
Yeah, it's been a go-to source for, I think, quite a few people out there keeping up to date with high school football. I brought you on to talk about those rankings. You obviously had the preseason rankings, and now we got 1 week under our belts. Start at 6A, Matt. I mean, you look at a lot of shuffling around. I know there's some state champions from last year that got knocked off. 6A was kind of the same class as there's a lot of shuffling around in that top 5.
Yeah, and 4 state champs last week lost in week 1, and that's not to be unexpected, I guess, from year to year, just because you have so much turnover. Gardner Edgerton, the two-time defending state champ in 6A, lost. They only returned 5 total starters, and so you expected them to, be a program that's consistent, and they are. And they lost by literally a 2-point conversion stop at the end, so they drop out of our poll just barely this week. Derby was the number 1 team, obviously a great win for Hayes on the road, beating them, and so Manhattan moves up into that top spot. Derby down just a spot this week, and then Wichita Northwest is extremely talented. They're up to number 3 this week, and just a talented roster there with Jalen Mason, Augie Fast, and all of their talent across the board. Blue Valley Northwest is a team to look out for. Coach Ryder's really got it rolling there, and then Free State, the team that upset Gardner Edgerton, hops into the poll this week at number 5. So Gardner Edgerton's still going to be there. You have all the Olathe schools. Shawnee Mission East is really a dark horse and one to keep an eye on for this year. Just to with Coach Semino there, they've got an incredible thing going, and Jack Reeves does everything for that team. And so team to watch out for there with the Lancers.
Class 5A is interesting to me. I mean, there's always going to be top teams, but it just seems like there's a lot of flashy teams in 5A, at least in that top 5 right now. I mean, St. Thomas Aquinas is still, top dog until someone can knock them off, but seems like a lot of really fun, flashy teams right now in Class 5A.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talked about Aquinas, maybe the most loaded team in that classification with that offensive line, and Stephen Carroll, Cal Arndt, and then Mill Valley's been sort of the measuring stick for Class 5A, and Coach Appleby has them right there again. Really exciting to see what Reggie Reese, their outstanding tailback, and then Blake Jay add to the backfield there as he moves to a quarterback, and think just a dynamic athlete that can do it all. And then you've got the WAC schools, right? Great Bend and Hayes up right there. Incredible win for Hayes on the road. And I think that really, sent some validity across the state to what they did last year and what the expectations can be this year. And then you have a St. James team that, under Coach Radke, that just continues to build their program and just so much depth on that roster. And they're going to be a factor as well. So, and then you've got teams right outside, the Blue Valleys of the world. DeSoto has been really good. Hutch was an impressive performance last week. And then Baser Linwood's got a really nice team there. So 5A is really deep for the large school classification.
4A, Cape and Mount Carmel takes over that number 1 spot, Matt.
Yeah, and in 4A, Capen is a team that brought a lot back, right? I mean, they have a lot, not maybe the flashy people that they had a few years ago, but just more of a consistent program under Coach Schartz. And, Miege is going to be a team that's going to take some lumps. And maybe most of the state likes that, but they're going to, no doubt. They were 1-7 last year. They lost to St. James to open the year, and their schedule just doesn't, it prepares them, certainly. But maybe there's not as much depth in 4A as there's been, because, Bueller's got a really nice team back. Wamego, Ottawa jumps into our poll this week. And Andover Central certainly lost a lot from their team last year. But 4A, I think we're going to see a lot of movement, maybe a lot of players throughout the season.
3A, it just seems like there are a lot of good teams. You talk about building up depth in Class 3A as well. Holcomb, Wellsville stick out. Topeka, Hayden, obviously good. But, it's still Andale's world, it seems like.
Yeah, we're living in Andale's world, and man, what a statement they made against a struggling El Dorado team. But if anything, it speaks to the depth of the program, right? You put the freshman and the sophomore in, and they continue to execute at a high level. I think Hayden's got a chance to be really good this year, as they were last year, with Cade Mitchell in the backfield. And then Wellsville, you mentioned, had a great year last year. We had Cheney in the 3 spot to open the year, and we knew they had some turnover, certainly with losing their quarterback. And Holcomb, with a great performance there, beats them. We actually had Holcomb at number 6 to start the season, and so not a lot of separation between those. Rock Creek jumps into the poll this week, and so 3A is one where, again, there's a lot of movement there from probably that 3 on, but really 1 and 2 seems to have separated themselves.
Class 2A seems like it's going to be pretty tough to knock off Southeast of Saline this year.
Southeast of Saline and Nemaha Central. What an outstanding game last year. I expect that to be, probably the championship again this year. Those two teams look far ahead of everybody else, although Osage City's got one of the better teams they've had in their history. And then that offensive line at Beloit can just lean on you, man. So, that's that can be a different animal depending on the weather conditions as we get later in the year. Garden Plain, Hoisington right there. Those two are right there at 5 and 6 and flip-flopped for a lot of our voters. So, it's going to be an exciting year in 2A, but certainly those two favorites up top.
Class 1A, that top team, Conway Springs, defending state champ, they had a pretty good test last Friday night, but they hold on to that number 1 spot.
Yeah, they hold on to that top spot. And Nickerson, what a job that they've done at Nickerson with Parker Bruce. Trying to take what he learned at Andale, and that's a quick turnaround to be that competitive against a high caliber opponent. Cole, I think this is the classification that's going to see the most change. I mean, we've got literally 11, 12 teams that we consider each week for the top five. Conway, Jackson Heights, Centralia is always there with Quentin Alderfer, their outstanding back. Rossville with a good overtime win in the War on 24. Sterling leaps into our poll this year and is outstanding with St. Farney. And then you've got, Marion and Mound Ridge, Colgan, Plainville dropped last week, Valley Heights. I mean, just a really solid classification across the board.
1A to me seems like there might be a lot of shuffling around throughout the season. South Central on top right now, but 1A seems to, I don't know, at least for me, it seems like it's up in the air.
Yeah, with that, we had 8-man Division I. We had Wichita, Wichita County up top, and then their outstanding outstanding quarterback, Cashton Young didn't play. They kind of held him out, and they're playing a defending state champ out of Colorado. So they were competitive in that. And you bring a freshman in, and he performs pretty well. But when they get him back, obviously they're going to be really good. South Central's really, really good in that top spot. So yeah, we just flipped those two this week. Man, Central Plains, Little River, Coach Ayers have got that thing rolling. And then you always see a lot of different teams there, but just because they're so competitive, and these teams in 8-man Division I play each other quite a bit. We've got Linden in that spot there, but Lincoln, the Madisons of the world, Sublette, Clifton Clyde, El Saline. I mean, there's a lot of good teams right outside the top 5 in 8-man I.
You look at 8-man Division II, Matt. I mean, Axtell, Victoria, Hanover, those are your top 3 spots right now in 8-man II. It's going to be fun to see those 3 teams duke it out this year.
It is. And, I've been told by a lot of people that Hanover can get Axtell this year. So, I mean, we'll see about that. I mean, they graduated, obviously, some of the best players in 8-man history. They've won 53 straight. No problem with Lynn last week. And then Victoria is just so good, especially up front. And they're just, across the board with so many seniors and just so experienced. But Hanover, I've been told, is just a group that can get it done. And so this is a really good team. That's a great win against El Saline. And then keep an eye out for Osborne. Everyone's been telling me about how good this freshman class is there with Coach Tiernan's son and another Holloway in the backfield, and a great performance in beating the defending state champs in Hoxie last week.
Then 6-man, you got Weskan, Cunningham, Golden Plains, Teskid, and also Otis Bison. What stands out in that top 5 for you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, this week it was Cunningham's ability to beat a top 5 team to start the season after all they lost, and to beat them well. I mean, 66-18 over South Barber. Cunningham, just 3 really key players back. And remember, that's a program that didn't play for 6 weeks last year because of forfeits or open dates. And so tough to develop those kids, but obviously they were getting it in practice. Weskan, the defending state champs, they dropped their opener at Otis, Colorado, but that's an 11-win team that reached the state semifinals in Otis. So, great for them to going out and finding that game and scheduling that one. And that'll certainly prepare them down the road. And then Golden Plains out west, they've got a really talented team, a high scoring team. And so, it's going to be fun in 6-man this year, as it always is. And I'm excited for the rest of the state to experience more and learn more about 6-man football as we continue into this class.
Matt, appreciate it. And I'll be looking for a Kpreps website come Friday night to see those scores.
I appreciate it, Cole. Thanks so much. And everyone have a good week and enjoy the games Friday.
That's Matt Gilmore with Kpreps.com. Make sure you check out the website. That'll do it for our football chatter.
Mental health is crucial, especially during high school activities. It is a time when we're juggling a lot: school, sports, and clubs, and it can get overwhelming. Sometimes we might feel stressed or down, and that's okay. It's okay to ask for help when we need it. Taking care of our mental health is just as important as our physical health. Remember to support each other and create a positive environment in our high school community.
Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time now for our next level talent, an opportunity for us to talk to former Kansas high school athletes that are now participating and competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And today we're joined by Kodie Hurd. She's a member of the Sterling College volleyball team and out of South Central High School. Kodie, appreciate you coming on. How was the summer?
It was good. Lots of fun.
Well, take me to Protection, Kansas, and playing in the South Central Volleyball Club and just being an athlete at South Central. What was it like growing up there and just competing for South Central?
Well, being a part of South Central, I've been there my whole life. It's a different kind of community and atmosphere the whole, like, what do you say? The whole atmosphere, I guess, is just very competitive, very supportive. Everyone wants you to succeed there. For volleyball, definitely that's one of their main things, I would say. I would say they wanted us to succeed. We went to state my senior year. We lost out, but we did end up going, so it was a really cool experience.
At what point, like when you were growing up as a kid there in protection, like did you realize, okay, I want to compete at that varsity level? Was that always kind of a dream when you were a kid to compete for South Central?
Oh yeah, for sure. I grew up in a household where sports were like the main thing. I always grew up playing club and grew up doing like travel basketball, travel softball, travel volleyball, like the whole thing. So sports has always been a big part of my whole life. My mom was a collegiate athlete, and my siblings, we all played so many sports in high school, and we've always wanted to compete at the highest level.
What was the competition like within your own household? I mean, I don't know how close your ages were as far as your siblings are concerned, but it seems like there might be a pretty good competition in your own house.
Oh yeah. When I was in high school mainly, I would like to compete with my mom a lot, but once my brother started getting up in age, he's only a couple years behind me. He definitely liked to compete. He definitely helped me. I think I helped him too. He's definitely one of those top athletes in the state now. So just having that kind of environment as a family, we were always trying to build each other's in sport.
Any specific thing that you learned while you're at South Central, especially for volleyball, Kodie, as far as that's helped you out in the success that you've had to now play collegiately?
Oh yeah, my coaches there, they always wanted us to do best. We always brought each other up. Everyone wanted us to succeed. My coaches always helped me like with recruiting and stuff. They were always there along the way and just helping me throughout everything.
You mentioned getting to state. Any other highlights that stand out in your time at South Central?
For volleyball, we only made it to state once my time there, but we always were top in our league. I think we got third in like our league play, like our tournament that we play in. We've gotten third or fourth like the whole time I've been there. So
what was the recruiting process like for you? How did you end up at Sterling? What was the big push to go to Sterling?
Well, I only really went on 2 college visits, and Sterling was the second one. And when I came on my visit, everyone was just super welcoming, and it was just super homey. And I just instantly fell in love. And I loved that I got to play the sport that I was in love with too.
Going into your junior year now at Sterling College, what is the learning curve like for you going from high school volleyball to collegiate volleyball? What was that process like?
It's definitely different. The levels it was kind of a culture shock coming in from here, but it's definitely way more fun to be playing now than it was in high school. Just the level of play is just so much more fun. It's so much more competitive and so much faster.
Who's the best player that you face? Anyone that stands out so far, and you're now going into your 3rd year at Sterling College?
Probably a girl at Oakwoo. She is one of the best in the nation. She is a hitter. So yeah, she's pretty freaking good.
Pretty good competition. Kodie, appreciate it. Best of luck this year.
Of course. Thank you.
As Kodie heard with Sterling College volleyball and out of South Central High School for our next level talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. Make sure you head over to the YouTube page and subscribe. You can get extra content out there. Of course, on social media, you'll see some of the shorter clips or highlights from our guests. But if you want to see the full interviews, only way you can do that is going over to the YouTube page and checking out those full interviews from previous guests. That will close out another episode, but as Lee Corso might say, not so fast, my friend. We're going to close things out today, though, officially with the sounds of some radio play-by-play in the state of Kansas. So many great radio play-by-play broadcasters, and I am a sucker for good play-by-play highlights. So Ross Volkmer, a voice of the Goodwin Cowboys, will have our highlight to close out today's show.
And they give it on the end around to Chayton Goodwin, and Goodwin has the edge again, and Goodwin is going to be gone. Chayton Goodwin, 40, 30, 20, 10, hello and so. Touchdown, Chayton Goodwin, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns for the senior tonight as they fooled the Ray special teams unit again.